Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you can see and hear me okay. This is going to be a group energy healing where I heal 130 people in, I forget how many countries. I'll have to look it up. Probably 11. And it's going to be so awesome. I'm very excited. It is the first healing in the set of 2 healings called the August 2023 Twin Set. Twin Set, 2 healings. How clever is that? Just waiting for confirmation that you can see and hear me okay. But anyway, we are continuing the theme that we had in the set of 3 healings we did this month. Clairvoyance, intuition, logic, and confidence when you are self-healing. Which is cool. It's sort of at the core of what I do because I do pro-level healing, obviously, for people, but I teach it so that you can learn how to heal yourself and become, develop your skills to the point where you are at a professional level healing yourself. And then maybe you continue to evolve and do it as a professional healing others as well. But, the point is I'm teaching that level of skill. And so it's about clairvoyance and intuition, but also logic and confidence, like using, it's like if your Jeep is in a ditch, you have to like reverse. And I don't own a Jeep, by the way, I'm just imagining. But if you have a Jeep or a car and you get it into a ditch, you have to be pretty clever to get it out, right? And so sometimes when you're reading yourself or healing yourself, and you're freestyling, you're not using one of my videos, you get a little stuck. You can't see anything, and you have to figure out, okay, well, why can't I see something? And then, riff on that, and, start unblocking and clearing, and, and then what can I see? Oh, I can see that. Okay, let me unblock there. Oh, let me do this. Let me do that. So it's logic and the confidence to actually go for it, but the logic of being able to reason when you are healing yourself, I think can really take you far. And clairvoyance and intuition, and logic, it probably, I'm not a brain scientist, quite obviously, but, I would think they use different sides of the brain, the logic and the confidence, logic and the intuition, but it's great to use both, then you can get your car out of the ditches, of life. Because also, a ditch could be like, oh, I feel depressed, or I feel, unmotivated, or my gosh, I can't focus to save my life, or something. I feel too tired and it doesn't make sense because I have my sleep, so those are the ditches. And so how do you use logic and these clairvoyance and intuition skills to get yourself out of the ditch? And, most people don't have, they don't start with conscious clairvoyance and intuition, or much of it, and then, but you can grow it. The more present you get, the more you repair and heal and unblock your energy system, the better your chakras work, and the abilities come from using your chakras. So, hope that makes sense. But anyway, so this theme is sort of at the core of the whole deal. So that's kind of exciting. Yay, thank you for my confirmations. Hello, hello. Can see and hear you fine. Hey, Janet, tuning in from Chicago. 88 degrees and sunny here. Can see and hear you. Hello, hello. Thank you for the weather report as well. Your zinnia is so colorful. Yes, this is a zinnia. And it's supposed to be, it's called, this one, I want to say, I think it's called Violet Queen zinnia. It actually smells. That's nice. I picked a tall one this time because so it's easier to get it in the shot. The other one I had to like prop up last time. And I got other flowers too. I'll talk about them later at the end. But this is a calendula. This is a gaillardia, a new variety I'm growing this year. And that I started from seed this year. Obviously, it's perennial, so it'll be going next year too, obviously. But and this is an echinacea that I grew from seed last year, and then it came back, which is always a happy thing. This is my favorite kind of calendula, but I'll go into that later. Later. All sorts of cute garden things to chit chat about at the end, if for those interested. But I will save that till the end because obviously some people are not interested, which is okay. Happy to be here live. Yes, that's wonderful. Congratulations. Alrighty. Oh, and even more wonderful, over there is my dog. His name is Abel. Someone said I should say words that rhyme with the dog's names, but that won't work because then they'll still think I'm talking about them. So anyway, his name is Abel, if you just spell it. But he's sleeping without the cone. Normally you see him with his cone. And we'll see how long he can behave without it, without itching himself crazy before I have to put it on. Yeah, I'll have to stop what I'm doing, whatever I'm doing, if he starts, you know, messing with himself and put on his cone. So we'll see. La 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 la. Oh, fun fact. I added a couple more spots to the October twin set, which is, so if you want one of the October twin set spots, you can email me, and if I get more emails than spots, we'll see. But at this point, there are 3 spots because I added 5 more spots because it just seemed fun. Because it was so boring. The last like couple days, there was only 1 spot left for the October twin set, and it was not selling, which I was trying not to let it drive me crazy, but you know, it was kind of like this little OCD thing of like lack of closure that I was having with it. With just 1 spot left. So 130 people to get the healing, but like that 130th person just wasn't coming in yet. So I was trying to just, you know, just let it be. Yeah. So anyway, I had emailed clients about that last night. The people that paid for this twin set that we're about to do. I said, by the way, there's 1 spot left. So that did sell this morning, but then 2 other people emailed me to say, oh, I was trying to buy that spot and I couldn't do it. So then I was like, okay, well, this is more fun. So I added 5 more spots, and those 2 people got 2 of the 5, so then there are 3 more spots left. The theme for the October twin set, both October sets in 2023, is emotional, I forget how I said it, but it's like emotional boundaries, emotional wellness, emotional lightness. Which, like, seriously, who doesn't need as many healings as possible on that theme? Like, for real. So there's that. So you could email me because they're not, it officially sold out on the website, but then, you know, I got some emails and that was fun, and I was like, okay, well, why not? Let's do 5 more spots. Who doesn't need emotional healing? And you know, that's a good vibe, so that's fine. So anyway, yeah. So, but there, I didn't change the inventory on my website and PayPal and all that, so it still says sold out. Just email me, and then if you're, you know, I'll pick, if I have too many emails, then I'll say, okay, you can pay, and I'll tell you how to pay. I'm just putting out my papers, like I have everybody's name of the people that I'm going to be healing, the 130 people in 11 countries. Oh, the geeky stats. I will get to the healing, I promise. Basically, this live stream is like, well, there's random banter, and that's now. And then there's the introduction where I talk about the theme, which I am excited to do. I just kind of overview a little bit. And then there's the healing. And that's the big part of the live stream. And then at the end, there's no Q&A at the end, like no read my life, Janet, blah, blah, blah thing. We're not doing that. But I'll read, if someone posted how the healing was for them, I'll probably read that. But I mean, just like read it out loud. But then I'll talk about some flowers and stuff in the garden, and that's the live stream. I was about to say some story, but I forgot it. The surveys have been pretty interesting lately, by the way. I added this question, for people that wanted to do it, to like read this in your space, or heal this chakra, blah blah blah, and just like take a minute and do it, and then write what it was like for you. So that was cool. I like that. In addition to the silly question, like write something silly. But a survey, you can always just take 1 minute and fill out whichever question you want to fill out in addition to your name, so I know who you are. Our weather today is going to be supposedly up to 89 degrees. We had some high 90 days earlier in the week, which they were all right. It's not my favorite thing to have high 90s. It's hard for the garden, hard for my little seedlings that are still young because I planted them late. All right, so I'm just gonna go to I forgot the random chatter I wanted, which is probably for the best. Maybe the angels whisked it out of my mind. Okay, so overviewing what we're doing today. Obviously, we're going to do the 4 essentials, which are creating and unblocking grounding, repairing all 17 auras, creative ring repair, which is above your head, and chakra repair of all major and minor chakras, repair and unblocking. So we're definitely going to do that. And I'm going to repeat, I've been saying it a lot lately, but, I'll keep saying it probably. Unless this is like your first time ever doing my stuff, in which case walkthroughs probably are the best and easiest thing. But otherwise, practice, if you want, practice also freestyling, because it's so much quicker, because like we're going to do the 4 essentials. It's going to take a half hour to do. And it's going to be thorough and awesome, which is great. But, on a daily basis, if you are not going to spend a half hour with the walkthrough to get your 4 essentials done, then learn to, rather than skip your 4 essentials, just learn to improvise and do it without the video walkthrough. Just do it on your own, and just check things out and do it. Walk yourself through it, your own thoughts. That's called freestyling. And that way you can do something that, the recording might be 30 minutes, you could do it in 5 minutes or less maybe, just because you're only doing how much you need and you're using your intuition and yada yada. So I always encourage people to practice freestyling. Okay, so then once we do the 4 essentials, we will do stuff for the theme, and part of that, well, we're going to clear 2 big blocks because I think that just helps with everything all the time. So we will do that again. I think we did that a bunch in the last triplet healing, the last healing we did. Yeah, we did 2 big blocks a couple times. Clear 2 big blocks. I'm going to work more on the logic river, on unblocking the logic river, just any kind of logic development when you're using your skills. Because, clairvoyance and intuition, a lot of times you're not, people seem to have, just an unrealistic expectation of what clairvoyance and intuition is like, like that it's always perfect, everything, you see everything, or you see nothing, and that's, I don't know, maybe that's true for somebody on the planet, but it's not true for me. And I don't think most people that's true for. Clairvoyance is like, you see something and you can work on it. You see one of your chakras is blocked, so you can work on it. And then you see something else and you can work on it. You see something else, you can work on it. Are you going to see like your whole space and all chakras in like perfect definition at one time? Maybe eventually, but maybe not eventually. Maybe you'll just see one at a time, and then you can try to see the one with the two, one above it and one below it at the same time, just to compare something. But like, it's common that you don't see everything, and you use your intuition to kind of zoom in on something that you think might be an issue. So don't, a lot of people seem to be kind of discounting how good they're getting, because they're like, oh, I don't see everything all at once, I'm not good at it yet. I just see this and I work on it, I see this and work on it, see this and work on it, which is like completely fine. Because you can use your intuition and be like, okay, well, I should look here and then look, or I should look there and then look, or obviously check your 4 essentials. But so just a note on that, don't expect to see everything all at once. You can work on that. I personally work on that, work on, I don't even want to see everything all at once, just like maybe my 7th layer, the whole thing, and being able to rotate and all that. I work on seeing more and more at once, but at the same time, do I really need to, it's cool, but I think it's it is more demanding to see everything all at once. Well, and a part of it is too, I think the angels kind of may hold you back sometimes from seeing everything all at once, because if you did really see everything all at once in perfect accuracy, you would see so much that needs work that could be discouraging, so that's part of it too. Probably a big part of it. You want to be able to see, like, okay, I was in the garden. Here's a garden metaphor here. In my garden beds this year, I'm using straw instead of wood chips. My whole front yard is covered in wood chips, deep wood chips, which helps the soil, makes really good soil. But then this year, like bit by bit, I'm sifting the wood chips out of the garden bed and just having straw on top as the mulch, because that doesn't rob nitrogen from the soil if it gets worked into the soil, yada yada, long story short. But with the straw, occasionally you get some seeds of whatever the straw was from, wheat or barley or whatever it is. And then you get this obvious little grassy looking weed growing up out of your straw mulch. And it's funny because there was this relatively newly planted bed with, little plants and everything, and a whole bunch of straw everywhere, of course, as mulch. And there were like little weeds. And so I picked 1 or 2, and then I saw another one, I picked that one, and I saw another one, I picked that one. And by the end, I probably picked out like 11 different little, weed little beginnings. And I was wondering, gee, why didn't I notice all of them all at once? And my angels didn't want me to notice all of them all at once, because that would have been discouraging. I would have been like, oh, give me a break. I got to go inside and eat, So I just saw 1 or 2, and it kind of bugged me. And I'm like, let me just get that one. Let me just get that one. And then, my angels let me see 2 more. And then and it was kind of fun, along the way. It wasn't like, oh my God, look at all that, So I think that's the thing sometimes with clairvoyance, is that your angels kind of limit it for you. So you don't see too much, that you could do, because then you're like, oh, you know what? I have better things to do today. I don't have time for any of this. So hopefully that helps you have a more realistic perspective that, if you can see any part of your space, or any part of a chakra or any part of your grounding, run with that, you know, work with what you can do, keep doing more, you know, don't expect to see everything. If you see all black, but then you see a little outline, that's fantastic. Work on that. What is that outline? What are you seeing? You know, okay. So anyway, as far as what we're going to do today, that was a total aside. All right. So there was a big aside about, oops. See, now I have to put his cone on him because he's going to go nuts. Let's see if we'll see. But I probably will have to. So that was an aside about clairvoyance and freestyling. See, they steal each other's beds. When one gets up, the other one steals the bed, even though he probably wanted to be here more, but he had to steal his bed because it's just a thing. It's a thing they do. So I'm watching Abel to see if he behaves. Fortunately, when he starts messing with himself, he makes like slobbering noises, so you can hear it. All right. So that was an aside about clairvoyance, freestyling, and the reality of it, how you're not going to see everything all at once. Most likely. And that's okay. You work with what you can see. And also use your intuition so that, you know, you can get your car out of the rut. All right, so today, as far as logic, I did want to, we did it in the triplet set in one of the healings. We visualize things as a river and then we unblock the river. So we're going to do that again with the logic river of, you know, your ability to use logic when you're self-healing, when you're using clairvoyance and intuition. We're going to see how, you know, the ideal use of that ability of logic would be very flowing, and then you're going to see the river and see the blocks and unblock it. So you're increasing your logic, your use of logic, your ability to use logic when you're using your clairvoyance and intuition. Okay. Part of logic is like knowing what each chakra does, and so then you're thinking like, okay, well, I'm really depressed. What about my second chakra? What about my fourth chakra? You know, so I have anxiety. What about my first chakra? You know, so if you don't know what each chakra does, I do have a 2-page email chakra handout. You could email me for it. It's free. You know, it's just an email attachment. It's 2 pages, and it just goes through each chakra and says what each one helps you with. Okay. So that's one thing we'll do is unblock the logic river. But then one other one, there'll probably be other things the angels add in, but another one is we're going to clear doom rooms. Doom rooms. It's just a term I just made up. Because I was looking at this one person who was trying to read themselves, and they just get into this, you know, they can see some things and then they do work on that and then they can see some things, but then at some point they can't see anymore and they don't use their logic and be like, okay, well, why can't I see? Let me work on that, you know? And so it doesn't like keep them doing spontaneous, interesting things. They just like, they hit a wall and they're like, that doesn't work, you know? So the doom room is your resistance plus a bunch of energy blocks in several chakras, and it all just sort of triggers all at once, and then you're like, I can't see anything, I can't do anything, you know, and then you just do one of my walkthroughs instead. Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with doing my walkthroughs, but if you've been doing this for a while, improvisation, you know, freestyling is important. It's an important way to keep developing your abilities of clairvoyance and intuition, and also be time efficient too, which is huge. So clearing the doom rooms, we're going to do that. And, you know, doom rooms, that concept is not just when you're healing yourself. It could be, or when you're trying to read yourself or heal yourself. It could be, you know, wherever your energy kind of tanks, kind of locks up, kind of goes in the toilet. that there's probably, some doom rooms that it's like a room that you're inside and you're like, ah, metaphorically. It's not really like that, but that's how it feels maybe. Maybe just subconsciously, But anyway, we're going to visualize them as a literal room and you're inside it and we're going to clear the doom room, which is basically, again, a bunch of different energy blocks in different places and your resistance. And that's why it feels so debilitating, because it's like multiple places usually, and you're resisting, which is making it worse. So anyway, that I know we're gonna do. Unblock the logic river and clear doom rooms. I'm gonna type out doom rooms for people who speak 10 languages in case that's not clear. The word doom, D-O-O-M, doom. Doom, it just makes you feel despair. Okay. So, I'll check out some comments and then I will start the healing. Happy to hear and see you from rainy Las Vegas, 72 Fahrenheit. I hope you're listening to your weather lately, because, man, what is that? Like a hurricane or a tornado or something? Now I'm forgetting, but there's something that's not supposed to be on the West Coast that is coming for the West Coast, the LA area, and maybe even Vegas. A tornado? Hurricane? I think by the time it hits you, it'll be a tropical storm. So it'll downgrade from a hurricane. Yeah. Hurricane Hillary. Yeah, so keep watching the weather and pay attention to your weather. Someone says hello. Someone says hello from Evergreen, Colorado. Sunny and 77. Hello. Thanks for the weather report. 77 is nice. I can garden all day with 77. Yesterday, supposedly, we got up to high 70s, but it was so nice. It was windy during the day, so the breezes were nice and cool. So I was able to garden all day. I had to work, obviously, also, but but it was nice. So this is hi, Janet. Thanks for the sequel of the theme. Yeah, it's just a theme you have to do more than once. It's just too good. I'm very excited to learn new things today. Yes, me too. Thank you for healing me, Janet. You're welcome. Is that a cow emoji? Oh, that's right. You were talking about cows. Yeah, cows. Oh, right. Yeah. So now I will do about 3 minutes of quiet as I finish my prep and say hello telepathically to the 130 people, just in case they're not watching live, which most of them are not, to make sure that on a spirit level they are aware that the healing is started. And that's that. Then you'll see me move my hands like that, and that's how you know I've started healing. And then about a minute after that, I'll start talking out loud. And for most of the healing, I do talk out loud. And it's a half-decent walkthrough if you want to just listen and heal yourself based on what I'm saying that I'm doing. You could do that. Obviously, if I'm healing you at the same time, you don't have to heal yourself. You can go for a walk or garden or go to sleep or whatever you want to do. Be with your kids or your work, whatever. All right. So now I will really actually be quiet for about 3 minutes. Okay, thanks for waiting. So I'm going to keep my eyes closed for maybe the whole thing. We'll see. So I know that's a little odd. Um, Sorry about that. So when you heal yourself, you can use a copy out in front of you, create it with your thought. You don't have to see it for it to work. But you make a copy of yourself out in front of you, and you're healing the copy, and therefore you're healing yourself. You could directly heal yourself too, if that amuses you more. But sometimes, healing the backs of things is a little weird that way if you're just direct healing. Whereas if you have a copy, you could like focus right on the view of the back of yourself, and maybe, notice extra level of detail and work the back a lot better that way. So, the copy would include your 17 auras, astral body, physical body, and 15 auras called Wei Qi auras, Wei-Chi, Wei Qi, which is a traditional Chinese Western concept, which means strong boundaries energy. So 17 auras, then your physical body and your astral body are inside those auras, and then your 2 groundings going down to the core of the earth. Physical body grounding and astral body grounding. Moving the hands, what that is you can feel energy with your hands. You can feel blocks, you can feel flow, and maybe probably not initially, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so that can be a really useful piece of information. Maybe you can't see cords going into a chakra, but you can learn to feel them with your hand. So super useful. So also your hands generate gold light. Well, they can generate energy because you have a big energy center in the palm of each hand called your hand chakra, and then you have an energy center in each fingertip called your fingertip chakra. And so, well, I call it that. And so these chakras have round openings, and you set the entire chakra to be a metallic gold color, like this glitter, if you need a visual reminder of what gold looks like. And so with your intention, you set those chakras, fingertip and hand chakras, to gold. So therefore, when they spin, they generate gold light. And that's what you're using to work on your copy, to heal, unblock, repair. And it works even if you can't see, you just sort of wing it, use your imagination. Because vision it's not as clear as people think it is usually. So you might think, oh, I'm not seeing anything, but you do see outlines. At first, maybe you don't see anything, but just keep working on it, and then it evolves the more present you get. So let's do grounding. Grounding is the first of the 4 essentials. So recreate your groundings. Both of them, make them big and wide as all your auras. In the back, front, sides, all around. And then you can make 2 copies of your groundings out in front of you, and comb through your groundings all the way down to the core of the earth with gold light. And just imagine the blocks and melt them with gold lights. So part of using your logic when you're seeing and working on your energy is like, well, I could see something, so I worked on that, and I saw something else, I worked on that, but then now I can't see anything. Well, how's your grounding right now? And then visualize your grounding and work on your grounding, because maybe you can't see something because you got too triggered and you popped out. So you figure out, clear your grounding, clear what triggered you. Now you're more present. Now you can see something again. Logic, logic, logic. So unblocking, grounding. And work on actually noticing the blocks. Don't just be like, well, I'm using gold light, it probably works. I mean, if you're a newbie, then that's fine. You can just, you wing it, and, but try to notice what you are clearing. Like, oh, it looks like there are a couple of shelves, and then just melt them away with gold light. And then like, oh, yeah, it seems like it's flowing more now. You always try to use whatever amount of conscious ability that you do have, because that's how it grows. Okay, so that's unblocking grounding. So then indie grounding is a related thing where you check the outer surface of both groundings as they go down, and you melt away anything sticking out of your groundings. Oftentimes it's connections to other people's grounding. That's why this is called indie grounding. You melt away those connections to other people's groundings using gold light. But sometimes it's thrown hard objects that are sticking out. So you can just take those out and then just heal where it was. So you can take out all the hard objects stuck in your grounding. Angels, here you go. Take them all out. Angels, here you go. Okay, that's indie grounding. So then they'll do aura repair, which is the second of the 4 essentials. So you have 17 auras. They're all around you. Astral body, physical body, and 15 Wei-Qi auras. Imagine copies of all of them out in front of you and sense where they are ripped. Just wing it. Just check out up above your head. Check out behind your lower back, in front of your tummy. The point of this is, it's cool, because you want to know if you need to do aura repair. If you're freestyling and you have detected that there's no rips anywhere in all your 17 auras, well, A, you're kind of a rock star, but B, that means you can move on to one of the other essentials, unless you want to just do some unblocking, which is always useful. But so that's the point of intuiting, checking out your aura, your auras for rips, is then you know if you need to repair your aura or not. But you can use composite copy technique rather than repairing locally if you want. Repairing locally, you just find like, okay, there are rips around your tummy, and just use a lot of gold flames and gold fire and clean it out and heal it up right there. Just imagining, like imagine you and those rips by your tummy, and just, heal it up. But we're going to use composite copy technique so that you can repair all the rips wherever they are all at once without knowing where they are. So you imagine one rip that represent, and you have your intention has it represent all the rips that you need to repair. So this is a composite copy rip that represents all your rips in your 17 ones, right? And then so you fill it up with sticky gold wax, which is gold light from your hands that sticks to whatever's not you, because there's probably junk in the rips, because the rips leak energy. Chakra damage leaks energy, rips leak energy, any damage leaks energy. That attracts invasive beings and invasive people, creates a lot of drama. So you want to clean it out so that you could properly repair it then. So sticky gold wax, lift out the junk as a big lump. Angels, here you go. Sticky gold wax, fill it up, lift out the junk. Angels, here you go. So then now that it's cleaned out, you can use the gold light to repair this composite copy rip. And don't worry if it takes a little bit of time. I mean, that rip could be representing, many, many rips that you have. So just take your time with it. If you have any invasive beings in the way, you can just say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way of my repair work here, can you please recycle them? You may have some devices stuck in the ripped parts. like, you know, thrown objects. So you can just gather those up with gold light, lift them out, angels, here you go. Gather up any hard objects, angels, here you go, so that you can do a more thorough job repairing the roots. You want to use your intuition because maybe you missed a couple, you know, so then go back, get out more hard objects. Angels, here you go. Angels, here you go. So that's the basics of aura repair. Then you could have leftover hardness from when you did have the rips. Leftover from when you had the rips. And so the hardness is like, it could be a couple layers in a certain spot of hardness, or it could be around the edges of any of the auras in a certain spot. So wherever it is, the scarring or the bruising, just pile up copies of all your scarring and bruising in your auras, and then just melt it with gold light. Because you want as much flow as possible in your auras. You don't want stuck energy. Stuck energy will sort of vibrate with the energy that's thrown at you. If someone throws energy at you, and it magnifies whatever's thrown at you and draws it in, so then it creates a lot more damage. So that's how stuck energy weakens your auras. Well, also it weakens your flow. You need flow. So anyway, so just pile up all your scarring and bruising. I'm going to go light through it to melt it. All right, so we can just finish aura repair in case you have any little leaks. Just check the outer surface of all your 17 auras. There should be no more hard objects sticking out, but in case there are some, you can lift those out, give them to your angels, lift it out, give them to your angels, finish up the repair. Lift out the hard objects, angels, here you go. We can stick in some aura unblocking too. So especially above the head and below the feet, it can get really compressed. Ooh. Okay, we could keep going with the aura, but it's better to do all the 4 essentials. So creative ring. Today I'll do them in a different order. I'm going to do chakra repair next. And then we'll do creative ring repair. So chakra repair and unblocking. So basic chakra shape is an open cylinder. So like this is a cylinder, it's open at both ends, right? So like for example, your 4th chakra is oriented this way. Excuse the cat food can in there. But so round opening in the front, round opening in the back. So your energy flows in the front, spins around in there, goes out the back, and then wraps around your 4th layer to go back in the front again. If you want a video series that explains the flow between the auras and the chakras, I I have a video series, 7 Chakras Aura Layers Flow. Sometimes that's linked below. If you can't find that playlist, it's like a 3-video playlist. You can always ask for it in the comment section, and then I would link it. It's called 7 Chakras Aura Layers Flow. All right. So anyway, so you make one composite copy of a chakra and have it with your intention to have it represent all your major and minor chakras. So that includes all the cool acupuncture points everywhere. Those are little chakras. But your 7 major chakras along your spine of your physical body, and then your 7 major chakras along your spine of your astral body. So you can use gold light to heal this copy. So again, the copy looks roughly like this, but it's just energy. It doesn't have to be yellow. Because your chakras are all different colors. But you want the gold light to repair any damage. The damage could look like cracks, missing pieces, gashes, scratches. You're also unblocking. Sometimes the chakra, like it can have a crack, but there's a lot of junk jammed in it, so it won't repair. So you're like, well, I did my chakra repair, but it's like there's still cracks because there's still junk jammed in there. So the gold light didn't permeate well enough. So that's why it's great to combine unblocking and repair. So then you're hopefully getting all the junk out that's like worked into the damaged parts, and then you keep repairing. And when you get stuff out of the chakras, you can melt it with gold light. You can give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Angels, here you go. If you're healing yourself and they're just energy blocks, you can blow them up. But if you're healing someone else, you can't blow up their stuff. I mean, you could, but that would be too much. So just melt it with gold light or hand it to the angels. The blocks can be wrapped around the outside of the chakra or jammed up against the openings or inside the chakra itself. So just imagine the blocks and melt them with gold light from your hands. If you have any invasive beings messing with your chakras, you could just imagine, okay, well, this represents all my chakras, and then this represents all the beings trying to screw with all my chakras. And just the angels, can you recycle all these beings? So again, you have your composite copy, which represents all your chakras, and then you imagine all the invasive beings trying to mess with all your chakras, or any of your chakras, and just the angels, can you recycle all these beings, please? And cords from other people, cords to other people, definitely melt those away. Generally, people will send 2 cords, a pair of cords, but it might look just like one big cord, but technically it's usually a pair of cords. Not that that super matters. The point is to melt them with gold light. And melt whatever junk they were stuck to. Because your energy blocks are like Velcro, you know, and the cord sticks to the Velcro. And since we're working all chakras, I did want to mention chakra devices. And I have a visual aid. So, you know, round opening of the chakras, right? So that's a good round opening image, right? But then this is a garden strainer that was actually too small for my needs. Well, it just didn't work for what I needed. I have bigger ones that I use in the garden, but it's good as a visual aid demonstration. So say this is the round opening of your chakra, right? Hopefully not silver. Silver is too high vibration, way too high for anything related to your energy system. But anyway, so say this is like the round opening, you know, it's much bigger than your chakra, but let's say, you know, okay. Hopefully your fourth chakra is not this big, right? But okay, the round opening, you want it to be flowing. I mean, there is a surface to it, and it should be like flowing water. So like green is an ideal color for your fourth chakra. So then this would be green, not silver. And then the round opening in the front, you know, it would have like a surface to it, like a green surface of water, right? But it could have junk there, obviously, energy blocks, which could be like a matte sort of black color. But you could also have devices, and this is a great example of a common chakra device. I mean, devices can look all sorts of ways, but this is a common way they could look, you know, like this. And so it's not super noticeable because you're like, well, there's the chakra, it has the right shape, you know. But with that device there, it, you know, say it's like say if this was your fifth chakra in the front and someone didn't want you to communicate with like their friend, right? And their friend always wants to communicate with you and they're jealous, right? So then they could put a device in the front of your fifth chakra to be like, stop doing that. Stop communicating so much, right? And so just, I show it just so you can, you know, check. But it would be more like that, you know. So then you kind of lift off the device so that you have better flow and your flowing energy going in and out isn't sort of distorted by whatever they want, right? So like say if it's first chakra, you have your nice flow and then you have somebody's device in the front going, you're never going to have enough money. Money is scarce. You should be very careful with your money. You know, and then you have it in front of your first chakra and you're like, oh my gosh, I really feel like I don't have enough money. I realistically, I know I do, but oh my gosh, I think this is going to be a terrible, huge problem in my life, right? Well, maybe you just have some devices from this life or past lives attached to the front of your first chakra or the back, round opening, same thing, back, same idea, right? But, you know, maybe you have some devices that sort of seed fear into all your courage energy that's trying to flow through your chakra, right? So you just take off the devices that are there so that you have just your flowy red surface of water there in the front and in the back of your first chakra. So, you know, whichever chakra it is. So since we're working with all the chakras at the same time right now, and I have all the soil all over my stuff, which is kind of cool. I'm really into soil. As a gardener. Okay, but anyway. So just imagine your composite copy of representing all your major and minor chakras, right? And just check for, you know, check for something just sort of stuck on the front or stuck on the back. And just, you know, get under it and kind of lift it out with gold light. Just give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Again, just scoop out the devices that are attached to either opening of your chakra and just scoop them out. Angels, here you go. Scoop out the devices. Angels, here you go. And your intention is you want to see, be aware of, and remove whatever's healthy and gentle to do right now. So scoop out the devices. Angels, here you go. So again, and you can do it on individual chakras too, and we will do that later. But it's good to just get a lot of them at once by doing all your chakras. So scoop out any devices around the round openings. Just use cold light, get up under them, lift them out. Angels, here you go. All right, cool. So, and of course, melt cords. Again, check for cords melting away. The only cord I would suggest that you keep is if you have a young child, 13 years or younger, keep the first chakra cord, but not any other ones. Okay, so that was chakra repair and unblocking, but I also did cool visual aids about chakra devices, and we removed chakra devices. Good job, guys. So then creative ring repair, that's the last of the 4 essentials up here. 1, 2, 3. Your creative rings are gold. There are 3 of them. They come and go with you as a spirit. They're part of your spirit energy system. But when you come in your body, the part of you that comes in at first comes in with the rings, but then like there's some energy still kind of filtering in of yours. So the rest of you has to come in through the rings and come in. And so if the rings are too blocked, then it's like you feel groggy and less functional when you wake up. So that's not what we want. We want you to be as functional as possible every waking moment. Within reason. So just imagine a copy of your 3 gold creative rings out in front of you and repair them and unblock them. Just use gold light. And just like with the chakras, you can have junk caked on them so much that you're not fully repairing the breaks in your creative rings. So just use gold light and melt away any junk in and around the rings. Melt cords, definitely. Cords have a big effect on your creative rings. They can, cords energy can travel both ways. So people could siphon energy off of you with a cord, or they could send their energy to you, or both, with the cord. And so if they are sending their energy into your 3 gold creative rings, it's overwhelming, and so the flaps of the rings pop out. So, wow, wow, wow. Where's my illustration of flaps? I moved it. I gotta get it. Okay. Flaps. So, so that's a top-down view of one of your gold creating rings, and if the flaps are irritated and open, that's how they look. So you don't want that. You want like just a smooth-looking ring with no visible flaps, and that's when they're closed fully shut. So to do that, you just keep melting cords so that the flaps can relax and fall shut. And a lot of times when your logic is really gone, you have cords going into your creative rings and your flaps are open. You're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I have no idea. You know, it's like sort of like, you know, people think intelligence is like a static thing and you're either smart or you're not, but it's not really true. It's all in the moment. You know, how logical are you in the moment? And if your flaps are open of your creative rings, it's like you're sort of temporarily stupid. So we don't want that, right? So just notice like, gee, I'm temporarily kind of not very intuitive right now, not very smart, not very logical. And then, you know, check for cords in your creative rings and the rest of your chakras too, ideally. But start with your creative rings and just see. And the cords, I mean, yeah, the cords are a problem, but how did the cords stick? The cords stick because there are blocks that they're sticking into. So melt the blocks and melt the cords. So then it's not so easy for them to come back, the cords to stick again. And why would people want a cord? Well, they want to control you, try to control you. But invasive beings, why would they cord you? Because you're leaking energy. You probably already have cracks from somebody else that threw energy. So now you're leaking energy because of the cracks in your creative rings. So then these invasive beings just want to siphon off the energy that's leaking from your cracks. So fix the cracks. And then you won't be leaking. And then the invasive beings you'll be boring to them. You'll be like, oh, she doesn't leak energy. I'll go find someone else. But as they're fleeing your space, you can have your angels recycle them so they don't bother anybody else. So I'm just spending extra time on the creative rings. It's like people have like a tar that's just sort of smeared around the inside of them. So I'm just using gold light to melt that. It's like a black, sticky tar. Sometimes that's invasive beings, but I already had the angels recycle the invasive beings in the way. Angels can recycle any invasive beings in the way. All right. So when the flaps fall shut, there's like a chain reaction, and the flaps fall shut in all your creative rings, and then most of your chakras, unless there's damage somewhere, or devices or something. So it's a nice chain reaction. It typically feels like yeah, once the flaps close in the creative rings and most of your chakras. So that's creative rings. So that was the 4 essentials, but we did like extras, you know, like there was some extra unblocking in the aura repair part, and there was device work, extra devices, removing chakra devices in the chakra part, chakra repair part. So, okay, so now let's clear 2 big blocks. We're going to do that a lot in this healing. So you just imagine them out in front of you, copies of them. They generally look big, and they're too big, and so they're not just automatically clearing as you're doing stuff. They're typically several energy blocks interconnected with your resistance. So just stack them all up. They could look like big surfboards of, you know, blocked energy, and just melt away your 2 big blocks. So put out copies of all your 2 big blocks that need to melt right now, and just use gold light. When you use gold light, that'll melt the glue that glues them together, which could be other people's energy, it could be your resistance, or both. And then once they're all separated into their little component energy blocks, then they usually blow up a lot more easily. So again, pile up 2 big energy blocks that you're stuck on right now, or that are triggered, and just melt cords going into those 2 big energy blocks, and melt the glue inside the energy blocks so that they all just blow up. All right. I'm going to look at a sample person for a second. Let's unblock chakra filaments. Repair and unblock chakra filaments. And we'll also do chakra fit, because I always do that at the end of it. So unblocking chakra filaments helps overall functionality. So it can, people have said, it's like not something that I expected to help clairvoyance or hearing angels or intuition, but it does for a bunch of people, because that's what people say in their surveys, like, oh wow, now I'm much more intuitive or whatever, and I can see it was unblocking filaments. So filaments are cords, but they're cords from you to you. So I use the word filament, so because people usually think of cords as, you know, my ex-boyfriend's courting me, you know, so it's a cord from that person to you, or I'm courting somebody, you know, so, but anyway, so filament is, chakra filaments are in between your physical body 7 chakras and your astral body 7 chakras. So 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, etc. So you can imagine your 7 astral chakras, your 7 physical chakras, they're oriented like 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just imagine them separately like that, so that it's easy to see the filament that attaches, say, your 7th chakra filament that goes between your, it is what carries energy between your physical body 7th and your astral body 7th chakra. That's your 7th chakra filament. So if you set both your 7th chakras to your favorite shade of purple, then that would turn your filament into that shade of purple. But if it still looks black, that's just because it's coated with black energy that's not yours, or it's stuck with a bunch of black energy that's not yours. So you just use gold light, and don't worry if it's not your purple, but just keep on blocking it so that eventually it becomes your purple. You don't want any leaking, so just check it out, repair it. It's like a tube, flowy tube with a flowy river inside it. But it might not be, it might just look like a dry desert river bed, you know, like with rocks, no water, which would not be good. So just, but it would be good that you notice that, and you can work on it and fix it. And you can do all your filaments at once. You don't have to just fixate on one filament. But sometimes it's nice to see a certain one. See which one is most blocked. And people can cord your filaments. That's a very invasive thing to do, but people do it. Not good karma, of course, to do. I would never recommend it. So use gold light and melt cords that are going into your filaments. There's no good reason for anybody ever to cord your filaments, even if you know they're your kid. Just melt away any connections going into your filaments. Working extra on the second chakra and first chakra filaments because those are the most blocked. And you know, just be aware of what's healthy and gentle to do right now. Someone in their survey was talking about how when they're doing energy clearing and they're seeing something else they need to do, and then they do that, and they see something else they need to do, that's hard for them to kind of limit themselves to what's healthy and gentle to do right now. They keep wanting to do more because it's, you know, it's like fun and it's like an adventure. And that's really a beautiful thing. I mean, yeah, okay, fine. So you can work a little more on the healthy and gentle concept and knowing when to, you know, go and do some stretching or go for a walk or something, you know, to balance things out, or, you know, do something else. But it's great if you do have that sense of adventure and curiosity and, you know, inspiration when you're healing yourself. That's really amazing. So that's a good thing, to have that sense of adventure. Many people don't. It's okay if you don't, but then you might need more unblocking of your fourth chakra filament or your seventh chakra filament. So you feel a little more inspired and positive and motivated. So I'm doing a little extra on the first chakra filament, uh, clearing blocks that could be contributing to anxiety, anxious thoughts, anxiety. All right, good. So that was working on different chakra filaments, just repairing them, unblocking them. We did probably extra on, we did extra on the 4th and the 7th and the 1st and the 2nd. Alrighty, so then chakra fit, you can imagine your astral body major chakras inside your physical body major chakras to the extent that they are right now, if you're present. And just kind of look at like, okay, well, do they all really fit in? Because when I say like, how many chakras are you in right now? You're in 7 through 3, you're in 7 through 2. What I mean is, when you get present, your astral body comes in. You as a spirit, you come into your physical body. And your astral chakras, your astral major chakras fit in to your physical major chakras. So, but if they're too blocked or too damaged, but hopefully we fixed most of the damage. So if they're too blocked, then you don't fit right. So chakra fit is where you take out the blocks from either set of major chakras that mess with the fit, and you just melt those blocks or blow them up if you're healing yourself. So take out the blocks that are messing with chakra fit and melt them. Take out the blocks messing with chakra fit and melt them with gold light. So then just see, as you are right now, how well does your astral major chakras fit into your physical body major chakras. And again, lift out the blocks that are in the way of that happening and melt them. If you have any devices in the way of that happening, lift those out. Come to your angels. Angels, here you go. Again, you're sensing any chakra devices in either astral or physical body major chakras. Loosen them up with gold light. To the extent it's healthy and gentle, we want to remove those devices and just lift those out. Angels, here you go. So now get a sense of how well are your astral body chakras fitting into your physical body chakras. And if there are any blocks or devices, just lift them out. Come to your angels. Angels, here you go. Lift them out. Angels, here you go. Lift them out. Angels, here you go. And you can pay extra attention to your upper chakras 7, 6, and 5 because they are the ones that are most directly related to clairvoyance, intuition, even logic, hearing angels. So 7, 6, and 5, we're looking at chakra fit of all your chakras, but you can especially notice 7, 6, and 5 right now, just for fun. Lift out the junk in the way of chakra fit. Angels, here you go. Unblock 7, 6, and 5. Lift out the junk in the way of the fit. Angels, here you go. All right, great job. So that was working the chakra filaments and also chakra fit. Unblocking for chakra fit. So the filaments, it was repair and unblocking, and then chakra fit is unblocking, and we also removed devices to help with that, to help your astral chakras fit better into your physical body chakras. ABEL, my dog ABEL, he's still without his cone, and he hasn't been messing with himself, so I'm gonna film him for a sec just so you can see him, because it's like you never see that, or he's just hanging out. You guys never see it. I see it sometimes, but so that's what he looks like without the cone. All right. So I'll put that there too. timestamp that. Okay. Let's do logic river. Imagine a river that represents your ability to use logic as you're healing and reading your own energy, and unblock that river. So imagine a river, and you want, generally, you know, with energy stuff, the more flow, the better. So just imagine a river that represents how much your ability to be logical as you're healing and reading yourself. So like if you get stuck, you can't see something, you know, what do you think to do at that point? Do you just automatically give up in terrible defeat and decide that you're just not a reader and only Janet can read energy, la la la? What do you do? So just imagine your logic river and see what it looks like. And look for flow and unblock it so it has more and more and more flow. Smelt away whatever's blocking your logic river. And again, this is your ability to use logic when you heal yourself, when you use your intuition, when you use your clairvoyance. Your river could have like a stormy sky above it. That's no good. So the stormy sky could be a bunch of beings. So you can just say, angels, can you recycle all these beings? Again, this is a river that represents your ability to use logic when you are reading and healing yourself. So you can get your car out of a ditch, you know, like, oh, I want to use reading and healing myself to work on this issue that means a lot to me, or to, you know, work on improving my sleep, whatever. So just, you want the logic to be able to use your knowledge in a productive way, reading and healing yourself. So that use of logic when you're reading and healing yourself, that's the river. And go ahead and unblock it and improve the flow so that you're increasing your ability. You're clearing whatever baggage is in the way of your using logic when you heal yourself. And logic, I mean logic, but also intuition, spontaneity, motivation, confidence. So we could say it's a logic and confidence river. How about that? Logic and confidence river. Logic, confidence, and inspiration river. How about that? So logic, confidence, and inspiration river. What does that look like for when you're healing yourself? So it could be like you see the river, but then you see like these giant black caves, you know, that block the river, you know, these giant boulders. So then you could notice who the boulders are from as you melt them away. You don't have to notice who they're from, but it makes it a little more interesting. So we made it now a logic river, a logic, confidence, and inspiration river for when you're healing and reading yourself. All right. So then let's do it. Two other ways. Same idea though, a river representing your ability to use your logic, your confidence, and your sense of inspiration. Uh, so we just did it one way, which was for the theme to help you to use clairvoyance and intuition to heal yourself more and more. But then I want to use it in general too, because obviously logic, confidence, inspiration, those are things you can use in your daily life, and that would really, really help you the more you have of that. But also, I want to do it in a big picture. So we will do daily life nitty gritty, like at 10 a.m. Can you use your logic, confidence, and inspiration with whatever you need to do at 10 a.m. today? But then too, I want to look at big picture stuff, and I want to do that first. So like, how do you see your life? How do you see the world? Are you able to see, because the world, some people tend to think that, well, okay, however they see it, that's how you see it, right? But how you see the world can be really affected. Your perspective can be, affected. Like, there's that expression, rose-colored glasses. You have rose-colored glasses. Sometimes that's used as a negative to be like, oh, well, you're not really seeing the real truth of things. But I think that your perspective can be very selective in a positive way, in that you could see the truth, but you could see the truth in an uplifting way that lifts you and strengthens you and allows you to get more out of your life. Lorenzo, my husband, he read this study or something. He heard about a study where they did this experiment on people that were older. And they had one group where they basically told them that they were like kind of losing their mind. Their memory was getting worse, and they were forgetting things. And then the other group, they exposed them to more positive messages about, oh, you're healthy, and you're doing this and that, and like validating messages and upbeat messages. And by the end of the study, the people that they gave those negative messages to, or they reinforced their negative thoughts to, those people like really thought they were, like doing very poorly and getting really old and decrepit. Whereas the other people in the same control, the same age group, same health level, they were like thinking they were doing great, and it's like, well, isn't that better? It's like, okay, yeah, you want to know the reality, like you want to take care of your issues in your life, financial, spiritual, physical, mental, whatever. But to be uplifted, to be motivated, to be heartened, can really affect everything. Like in the world, you could listen to a collection of all the awful things that just happened today, or you can, get like a version of that, and so you have a sense of what's going on in the world, but then you could uplift yourself and learn things that inspire you with that same time and energy. So that's what I'm aiming at, and I just did a really long explaining about that. God damn. So that was explaining how I want to use this logic, confidence, and inspiration river for big picture attitude, basically. So the doing part is what we'll do now. For logic and confidence and inspiration, as far as like the big picture of how you view your life, how you view the world, can you use logic and confidence and inspiration to give yourself, a better, happier version of the world and of your life? So imagine a river that represents your ability to use your logic, your confidence, and your inspiration when you're viewing your life, when you're viewing the world. You're thinking about your life and big picture things, your life, the whole world, how's your logic, confidence, and inspiration river? And just unblock to the extent that's healthy and gentle. Anything that gets in the way of that. Any internal baggage that you have or other people's energy in your space you have that sort of sours or blocks your ability to be logical when you think about the world, when you think about your life, to be confident, to be inspired. When you're thinking about your world, your life, the world. Can you be inspired? Can you be confident? Can you be logical? When you think about your life as a whole or about the world. And again, if you have some sort of like angry dark sky above, some of that could be invasive beings. So you can say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way of this work I'm doing? Also, the angry sky could just be blocks from people really kind of affecting you in a big way. So just melt if there's any angry, leftover angry, angry dark sky above your river. Sometimes people use fear and they use like sort of dumps of negativity. They're trying to motivate people, to adopt animals or to donate to good causes. But, you could donate to good causes and not let them dump on you, and that would be good too. Or you could choose not to donate, or volunteer or whatever, just get rid of any sort of manipulative junk that people have shoved in your river of how you view the world, how you view your life as a whole. You can have grief, your own grief from this life or past lives that affects all this, and you can melt away that grief because your loved ones don't need you. Like, say you're grieving a pet who's crossed over, or a spouse, or many relatives in past lives, but they're not happier because you're grieving. They want you to be happy. So it's okay to grieve, but at some point it's sort of outlived its usefulness and you can just melt it away. So if you have any of that kind of grief, that's just like really overdue to be cleared, just go ahead and do it. So again, this is your river for big picture thinking, big picture perception of your life and of the world. Can you use logic and confidence and inspiration when you think about the world, you think about your life? Okay, cool. So that's, do what's healthy and gentle to do with that, and then just move on. You can say, angels, can you help me do that more later? Okay, so then we'll just do everyday type logic, confidence, and inspiration. Like say you need to leave the house in 20 minutes, the logic to figure out, okay, well, what do I need to get done first so I leave on time or leave within whatever? Or how am I going to plan my day today? What do I need to do? Say you have only 2 hours and you have, 20 hours worth of work you could do in those 2 hours. Yeah. Where's the logic, the inspiration, the clarity, the confidence to pick what you're going to do in the 2 hours? So the daily logic, confidence, and inspiration. So imagine a river for that. Your ability to have as much as possible in logic and confidence and inspiration in your nitty-gritty, day-to-day, moment-to-moment life. If there's anything blocking that river, just melt it away. If you have an angry sky above it, maybe it's some invasive beings. The angels can recycle any of these invasive beings. And then maybe it's also just doom and gloom energy picked up from somebody, so you can just smell that. All right, so that was unblocking your river, representing your ability to use logic, confidence, and inspiration. And at first, we did it for when you're healing yourself with clairvoyance and intuition, and then we did it just general in a big picture way, how you view your life as a whole, your perception of your life as a whole, and your perception of the world, people in the world, for example. And then the third way we did it is in your daily life. You know, like if you have to leave the house in an hour, or you have 2 hours before dinner, or, you know, how do you use logic, confidence, and inspiration in those little decisions, those little daily moments. All right, good job. Woohoo! Pat yourself on the back. Great job. Speaking of which, let's unblock hips and shoulders and your first layer around that area. So hips, shoulders, I mean your whole pelvic region when I say hips. So hips, shoulders, neck. So you can have blocks that are very similar in like here and here, you know, in your first layer, or inside your shoulders and inside your hips. Same thing here, you know, in the first layer in front here, or inside your shoulders, inside your hips. So we're going to unblock that whole area. To the extent that's healthy and gentle to do right now. Use gold light. I'm going to put up an image of hip joints, etc. And then also, no, not that one. That one. In case that helps. You thinking about all that stuff. So shoulders, hips, and first layer around shoulders and hips. Neck also, of course. Base of skull, jaw area. So you just kind of get in there and comb out the tension and just melt it away. Comb out the hard junk and melt it away. You say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way of this work, can you have them recycled, please? One thing that's kind of fun too is you can find neck tension, neck and shoulder tension that you have, and then kind of be like, okay, well, I found a tense part of my neck and or shoulders, right? And you make a copy of that tense part, like say it's deep in there or something, right? But you make a copy of that tense part right there, and it's sort of like a knotted up bunch of energy, and you can just melt it away. So you may have just cleared that, like that localized tension, but now, of course, now you're more present, so you feel other tension. So it's not like, oh my God, I just fixed my entire life in 2 seconds, you know? But it helps, you know? So again, find some neck and shoulder tension. You don't have to find it, you could just imagine it, but, you know, it's kind of cool to just mess around and find, like, oh yeah, that's pretty tense right there. And then so you represent the tense part around your neck and shoulders most likely, but you could do a different part of your body if you want. And but I'm going to do neck and shoulder tension. So you imagine the most tense, tight part, right, as a copy, and then you melt there like directly, like the deep within that really is the nexus of the tension there. You melt the hardness within that, but then also go out from there. So there could be invasive beings like nearby in the first layer or far out of your space, just cording in. So you just, again, imagine those points, that the most intense part of the muscle tension, and then just imagine, okay, they're like balloons, you know, these invasive beings, you know, some are far away, some are up close. Just say, angels, can you recycle all these invasive beings that are hooked into these tense parts? And then just do more, you know, maybe you have like hard pieces of energy. So just lift out the hard pieces of energy in and around those tense areas. Angels, here you go. Lift out more hard pieces of energy. Angels, here you go. And lift them out. Angels, here you go. And then you can, you know, retest. Just try to find tension again. So maybe it's not that exact point anymore, but now you feel other tension that's near there. That maybe now that's your worst spot. You know, so you did reduce overall tension, but now you just find a different spot that you can work, which is fine, you know. So then that new tension that you just found, you know, just make a copy of that out in front of you. You know, because you're assuming it's probably on both sides, but maybe it's not. But if it is, you know, just make both sides, a copy of both sides of, you know, that muscle knotted area. And you do localized work right on it. But then also imagine those points and then the balloons, you know, beings like balloons with balloon strings hooked in. And be like, angels, if there are any invasive being cording these areas or that generally cord these areas, can you please have them recycled? And then just, maybe there's some hard objects in these areas, so just lift out the hard objects, angels, here you go. Lift out the hard objects, angels, here you go. Melt away the blocks, energy blocks. It could be stuff you've been avoiding, you know, some old anger, some old fear, some old whatever, but just melt it away. No point in keeping it. It's obviously not helping you to keep it. All right, then you can just test that area again. Another fun thing you can do is, you know, if you find some tension, and again, it could be at a different part of your body. It doesn't have to be in your neck and shoulders, but that's what I'm gonna do right now anyway. So you find the tension and you get a copy of it out in front of you, and then you comb through your auras out of there. Like, okay, so say this AccuDoll's tension is like right inside there, right? And so then comb through the copy out from there. She could have hard spears sticking in there, and so you might be able to feel them like, oh wow, that's weird. There's like a pole right there. And so lift, maybe there's like 7 poles jammed in there. So you just lift them all out. And then, you know, heal up that spot. Maybe there's some invasive beings. Angels can recycle these invasive beings in there. And then just maybe there's another pole or 2 that you find, and angels, there you go. And just keep, you know, that tense spot, just, you know, keep working the auras around it, because chances are the auras are kind of stuck around it. Maybe the outer ones are fine, and most of them are fine, but the inner 2, or maybe all of them right there, as you fan out from there, are stuck. So just get them flowing again. And if there are hard objects in the way, give them to your angels. If there are any invasive beings in the way, just say, angels, can you please recycle any invasive beings in this area or messing with this area? And then, you know, you can go back to that area and just kind of breathe into it. Because the more you're there, the more that stagnant energy is going to break up and melt away. So just deep breaths into those tense areas. All right. Well, that was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. So we did most tense, we'll say muscle knots. We did healing for muscle knots. Yeah, that was cool. So we did hips and shoulders on first layer, but then also we did muscle knotted areas and what to do about those, both direct healing right where they are, but then also the aura around them, and generated devices and beings, and keep healing them and breathe into them. So you can kind of, you know, center yourself again in case you were working on one side more than the other, or one side most recently. So just kind of breathe into your hips, your shoulders, your toes, your knees, both your wrists. You know, just to kind of, it's okay, I can be in both sides equally. All right, good job. Woo-woo. Okay, clearing doom rooms. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is like we're doing the same thing in different ways. You know, all energy healing is you're clearing blocks and you're repairing and you're letting go. That's it, right? But, you know, I have like thousands of hours of different walkthroughs because, I don't know, it helps sometimes. If you think of it a different way or you look at it a different way, it's more inspiring or, you know, whatever, it keeps it interesting. So this is like that, that, you know, sometimes you're trying to read yourself and heal yourself and you kind of hit a wall or you're not that inspired or you just don't know what to do or you freak out. Like somebody in their survey, they were like, they did the exercise that you know, that was in the question, like, you know, unblock your seventh chakra and your seventh layer of your aura or something. And the person was like, ironically, you know, I enjoyed doing it, but ironically now I feel less confident, which is unusual. But they just triggered stuff. And so what they probably did, I don't know that they really cleared that. You know, they probably just walked away thinking, well, that's weird. I felt less good after clearing energy, you know, which is a terrible thing to learn, you know, because that's not really true. Typically you're clearing something and you get more present, and then, you know, maybe someone tries to scare you or something in your space that you were avoiding, now you're aware of, you know. But the idea is to clear that, you know, so then you just have the good results of being more present and having a better day. So the doom room is something that could be triggered. It's like, you know, it's a bunch of energy blocks, but because it's a doom room, it's like we're talking about multiple energy blocks in multiple places. So it kind of, it's a little bit more, you know, like I had said, rally stopper before, you know, it's like, it just kind of, you know, stops you in your tracks a little bit more. And it could be subconscious, you know, so maybe you just, you know, watch Netflix for a long time, you know, and waste a day, you know, because you're watching a lot of Netflix and you know, there's nothing wrong really with enjoying a show and just, you know, checking out of your productivity, but you know, maybe there are things that you might enjoy even more than that, you know. And so anyway, the clearing the doom rooms is where you imagine parts of you that are, well, when you're healing yourself, are there doom rooms that keep you from seeing more of your energy or intuiting better or hearing your angels better? You know, and what are those doom rooms? And just imagine, you know, a part of a version of you, and then there's the room, you're in the doom room, you know, and you don't have to know more than that. And then you just free yourself from the doom rooms, you know, just melt the doom rooms away. So just imagine, you know, these hypotheticals of you in doom rooms, you know, you're trying to heal yourself or read yourself and or meditate, and then all of a sudden, you know, maybe you don't even do it because there's this big doom room that triggers in your space, you know. So just melt your doom rooms, clear them away. Be the hero. Free yourself from the doom room. All right, and one more time. So just imagine any doom rooms, anything that's like unmotivating or, you know, it just stops you, makes you not logical anymore. So you're not inspired to use more of your clairvoyance that you do have. You know, maybe you see some outlines, but you're like, oh, that's nothing, you know. I can't see a thing, you know, even though you can see a little, you know. So what happens is too much gets triggered and you're like, oh, whatever, you know. So those are doom rooms, you know, we're calling them doom rooms. So just imagine you in the doom room, all that energy that got triggered that was so unmotivating, and just melt away your doom rooms. And then you can give yourself a little healing once you melt away the doom room. So imagine the doom room and melt it away. And then give yourself a little healing. Imagine your doom room and melt it away. Okay, so that's for when you're healing yourself, right? So then, which is the theme, when you're healing and reading yourself, we clear the doom rooms. So then now we'll just do it in general. Maybe you have a doom room when you are, you know, trying to do something productive, or when you're trying to go to sleep, or when you're trying to go back to sleep, or when you're trying to, you know, talk to a certain person, or, you know, whatever. So what are your daily life doom rooms, right? And you don't have to know what they are. Just imagine little versions of you in these doom rooms, and then just melt away the doom room. And you say, angels, help me do this. So again, we're doing daily life doom rooms. We're clearing them away. So it's times when you really don't have your logic, your inspiration, your confidence. You're just like kind of roadblocked, right? So just imagine your doom rooms. It's just a bunch of energy blocks to trigger that typically you resist a lot, and so it's like kind of paralyzing. So just imagine you in little doom rooms and melt away your doom rooms. And you can imagine more daily life doom rooms that you have, just when you're trying to do something or trying to relax or trying to go back to sleep or whatever. Just melt these doom rooms. Abel. Might have to put his cone on him now. Finally, he's starting to mess with himself. Abel, what do you want? You gonna keep messing with yourself? No? All right, so that was clearing doom rooms. First for the theme when you're trying to heal yourself, and then and then we just did in general. Oh yeah, last thing I wanted to do was just a little bit extra removing devices. Uh, Chakra devices, and also in the aura. In the auras. So we're going to remove any aura devices or chakra devices in the way of the theme, which is using your clairvoyance and intuition and logic and confidence when you're healing yourself, right? So just imagine your whole energy system and just have your intuition help you find some devices in your auras or in your chakras that are in the way of that theme. And just these are healthy and gentle to get rid of. And just surround them in gold light and lift them out. And give your angels, here you go. So again, comb through a mini you. You don't have to see it all. You just, with your intention, know that your copy includes everything, your whole energy system. And just imagine any devices in your, devices are hard energy creations from other people. And they could be in your aura or your chakras from a past life or from this life. And just any that are healthy and gentle to get rid of right now, so that you have more clairvoyance, more intuition, and more use of logic and confidence when you are trying to use your intuition and your clairvoyance. So just imagine those devices that are good to get rid of right now, surround them in gold light. They could be in your aura or your chakras, auras or your chakras. And just surround them in gold light and move them out. Give them to your angels. Angels, here you go. One more time, gold light through your whole space. And have, imagine the devices that are healthy to get rid of right now, healthy and gentle, to help you with the theme. Lift out those devices. Angels, here you go. And then we're going to wrap up, so just unblock your grounding. When in doubt, in the next couple of days, just keep unblocking your grounding, especially in the back and the center. Also, another thing to help you get more out of the healing, in addition to repeatedly unblocking your grounding over time, is again to clear 2 big blocks. So just line up copies of any 2 big blocks that are just energy blocks that are in your space that are just not clearing properly. So just line them up. You can soak them in red earth energy. You can melt words going into them from yourself or from other people. And the more you soak them in gold light, the more the resistance glue and the energy from other people glue melts away, and then they become little energy blocks that then clear and melt pretty easily. So again, pile up your 2 big energy blocks, copies of them out in front of you, and bring up red earth energy from the core of the earth, soak them in red earth energy, melt cords going into them from yourself and others. And melt the blocks. All right. So a couple deep breaths. Redo your groundings. Redo your gold buffer zones. I didn't say to do that earlier. And as we wrap up, you can just say, angels, can you please give me a healing and help me to wrap up? All right, we are done with the healing. Woo woo, good job. Yay, you're a rock star. Good job. Of course, you do not have to do a long hour walkthrough every day of your life. You know, you could freestyle, do shorter versions, use your intuition, figure out what you need, get it done on your own without a walkthrough if you want. That's fine too. Okay, so I'm going to check just little hellos that people wrote if you have any comments about how the healing was for you, and then I will tell some stories about the garden just to wrap up in case anyone's interested in that. So somebody says, thanks Janet, very triggered at the beginning of this healing and already feel better. Oh good. Good to hear. Someone says, hey Janet from hot Chicago, 95 and sunny. Wow. Yeah, we were that hot earlier this week. We were like in the mid to high 90s for 3 days in a row. Yeah. I didn't like it. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't so bad, but you know, because being in Chicago kind of, it's like boot camp for life, I think, you know, Chicago weather. It teaches you to cope through extreme cold and extreme heat. After Chicago, you can handle anything pretty much. Okay, cool. So, like I said, if you did want to say how the healing was for you, that's fine. Someone says, thanks, Janet. My pelvis feels happier and more peaceful after the healing. Can you please share what helped you to teach yourself how to stop courting your own stuff? Teach yourself how to stop courting your own stuff. I don't think you typed that the way you wanted to. But anyway, yeah, so I'm not sure what you mean. But if you wanted to clarify later and post it under the video, then I would post a reply. Okay, so now is the garden story part of the live stream. Just a couple minutes of me talking about my garden. So one thing I didn't show yet, look at these. These are dead already now, but they're echinacea. And look at these massive seed heads. Like, I just dig these seed heads so much. Like, all those little colorful spikes, those are seeds. Well, I mean, Yeah, they're attached to seeds or something. I forget how that works, but you like split it. It's all porcupiney. But if you like open it up, then all the seeds fall out. It's super cool looking though, isn't it? Like so many seeds in that one flower. I dig that. Like last year, I saved like 2 flowers that had like big seed heads like this, and I planted all the seeds like in these seed tray things, and then I transplanted them and blah blah blah, and I ended up with 24 plants. You know, and I've already planted 2, and the other 22 are waiting on my porch to plant. They're like, plant me, plant me. I'm like, I want to, but where do I put you? But anyway, like how cool is that? It just looks so cool. See, some of the seeds are coming out already. But it's just so pretty. So echinacea just, for some reason I find echinacea extra fascinating. I think it's like a past life thing. But anyway, it just looks so cool. So anyway, so those are echinacea seed heads. But you can buy echinacea seed. And if you wanted, I would link below where I got these, particularly this variety of echinacea. But they're not all. They you know, each flower is different. So like this and this are like the exact same. Probably, well, yeah, it could be the same plant, or certainly the same seed, but it might actually be the exact same plant. These flowers and this flower, so they don't all have the big seed heads, but I like the big seed heads the best. They're cool, and the bees really like them too, you know, because there's like nectar and pollen like coming out of those little spiky things for them. But anyway, like I said, this is calendula, and this variety is, this color is what I like the most. Although last year the flowers were bigger, I think, but maybe some were small and then some were big. Because I took a photo, but maybe I took a photo of like the biggest ones. So, but anyway, I'm very into this color. But anyway, and this is Gaillardia, and this is a better color combo. I showed a Gaillardia a couple of weeks ago, but it was more like reddish orange, which I don't like as much. I like this one, it's just more orangey yellow. As you can see, I'm very into orange. So anyway, so calendula is annual, meaning it dies every year in the winter, but it makes seeds so much that it reseeds, so it comes back. But I didn't get any orange that came back, so that's why I specifically grew orange. So I'm gonna like try to save the orange seeds and like get as many orange calendula to self-seed in different places, because I just dig that color so much. Oh, and green beans. Okay, so last year green beans were like pretty much a fail for me. I had these like a couple bush bean green beans that are like, they're supposed to be like bushy rather than like tall vines. They just are like a little bush that makes green beans, but I didn't prepare the soil properly, and so my soil, so it was just so pitiful. They were like, they didn't grow well at all, my bush beans. So this year I was like, okay, I'm gonna nail beans. I'm gonna do beans, you know. And so I mean, I'm still learning, but the goal was to really, you know, rock it out of the park with beans. So I did pole beans this year instead, not bush beans, because I didn't have luck with bush beans, which was not really the fault of bush beans. It was my fault, like my soil wasn't right, but I figured let me do the other kind anyway. So pole beans can get to be like as tall as your trellis, basically. If you give them a 9-foot trellis, they could go 9 feet. But I only have like, at most like 7 feet. Because I want to be able to reach it. I don't really want to get on a ladder to get my beans, you know. Because you got to keep picking them. Because otherwise they'll stop producing. They'll just, you know, if you leave the beans on the vine. But anyway, how cool is this one? It's not cool. I love the curvy ones. But anyway, one of our varieties of beans that is producing already, I planted 3 different varieties of beans, but one is earlier than the others. I planted it first too. But anyway, so that one's already yielding beans. And yesterday, I picked 14 beans. That was our biggest bean harvest ever so far in this lifetime. So, but I'm trying to eat a bean a day, like raw in the garden. I can't eat raw food in general. Like intestines don't really tolerate it well. But I'm trying to train myself to be better at that. So I'm eating 1 green bean a day, raw, just in the garden, just chomping down on it and chewing it well. But anyway, so I already ate my 1 raw green bean for the day, but this is another, it's just cool, so I thought I'd try too. But a lot of them are just straight, but these ones I kind of like a little better. But they taste the same. What else do I want to show you? Oh, the kale is so funny. Like, look at this. This is a kale stem, and I probably could have cut it even longer, but I didn't bother. But like, it was just these giant kale leaves. The leaves are from like, I think the leaf was from here to here, but then it goes up too. So it's like this big old kale leaf. I call them monster kale. But it's so funny because they grew in our house over the winter with grow lights. That's how we had some fresh kale in the house in the winter. Not a lot, but sometimes, you know, we'd have enough to harvest and we'd have fresh kale. But I planted them out in the garden and they're giant now. It's so funny. Like, they were like very compact in the house, but they're like, so I planted them close to everything because I assumed they would stay compact, because I had asked, you know, the seed company, you know, what's compact so I can grow it indoors, and they're like, oh, this one's good for that, right? So then I grew a bunch of that indoors and it was good for the winter, but then I'm like, okay, well, let's plant it out in the yard so it can live its life, the rest of its life in the yard. And it turns out it's like a monster kale, which is fun, totally fun. I'm happy about that. But it's not usually so floppy, but I saved it from yesterday and then I played with my cat with it, so it's all floppy now. But it's a good cat toy now. Then I'm going to cut it up and give it to my worms. I have a worm bin, so I'm going to feed it to my worms. So we'll have multiple uses. But for me, it's kind of like, you know, how like fishermen might want to put a fish up on a wall, you know, to prove how big of a fish they caught. For me, it's like my fish trophy. It's like how big my kale leaves are. But anyway, and zinnia, this is zinnia. Zinnia flowers come in all different colors and sizes. They're really amazing. And they're so easy to grow. I mean, crazy easy. Especially if you grow them indoors, like I have indoor grow lights and everything. And they can germinate in, I've had some zinnia seeds that have germinated in like 24 hours. Like germinating meaning, you know, from a seed to like it's starting to grow and you can see it starting to grow. But otherwise, you know, a couple days. But so if you're not good at gardening and you want to grow some flowers, zinnias would be a great choice because they're pretty. You could still screw them up though. I did screw up some zinnias. Like because they grow so quickly. So if you grow them in like little seed trays with like these little cells for each seed, that you could screw that up because they grow so fast and then they outgrow their seed trays like that. So if you're not ready to plant them, you know, right away, because it's raining or you're busy, you have to work, you have life, you know, blah, 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 then they're going to outgrow the seed trays and like get all sickly in your little seed trays. So that's how you can mess up zinnias. But I learned my lesson and now I grow them in like bigger pots, you know, bigger like seed pots. So they're like this big now. Before I put them in the ground, the pot, you know, like 4 inches. So then so my latest batch of zinnias are not suffering as they sit on the porch waiting for me to plant them. And I have planted some, but anyway, so that's how you mess up zinnias. But otherwise, they're hard to mess up, and they grow. And the more you cut them, the more they grow. You know, and because it's like pruning them, and so like if you have a zinnia, you know, it's like a flower. If you cut it, then it's gonna stem off and make at least 2 branches. And then you cut one of those and then it'll stem off and make 2 more branches. So that way you get like a more bushier plant. Basil's like that too. Oh, and if you didn't hear during the triplet set, I explained that this framing that I'm using is my basil. It's a photo, there we go. It's a photo of my basil out in the garden. Persian basil is huge. And that's the color of it, which is super pretty. I mean, that lighting is especially good right there to show off like the shimmery sort of coolness of it. All right, so that's enough garden stories, I'm sure. But if you don't like my garden stories, you don't have to listen to them. I won't have my feelings hurt. But anyway, hope you liked them. And if you're one of the 130 people that I healed, I will be sending you a survey late today, so you can fill it out tomorrow on how you're feeling, so I can study the results of the healing. Let's see, I got a couple more comments. Thank you. Someone says, I wasn't part of the healing today. That's true. But I half listened and took a nap. I feel very mellow and relaxed. Well, that's nice. Maybe you had your angels heal you at the same time. Yeah, looks like you did. I'm fascinated by echinacea too. I love, yes, echinacea. And also this right there. I love the orange color of the seed heads. Yeah, I think I also had a past life involving the plant, was an herbalist or something. Yeah, yeah. We save the dead flowers up. I might save this one for seed though, because that's just like the coolest thing. Although I do not need more echinacea because I just have like 22 that I'm going to plant all over the property. But it's just so irresistible. I mean, like, how can I let go of this? It's just too cool. Anyway, okay, you guys are amazing. Hope you have a good day or evening, whatever's next for you, and good for you for even considering your energy and thinking about letting your angels heal you or healing yourself just a teeny bit. Good for you. You're amazing. And I'm going to show our dog, ABEL, who is still without his cone. It's totally amazing. The only thing we did different, he is on both his meds still. One is for, to block his itching, feeling itchy, but that's usually not enough. We have to put the cone on also. But we did change his food because it seems like he's allergic to fish oil, or reactive to fish oil. And fish oil is in like all food, and they always act like it's the healthiest thing ever. So he was actually, before this, eating a variety of food that had fish in it, because, long story, but now he has this food that doesn't have, it still has fish oil in it, but it's a lot less. So that may be what's causing it a difference. I mean, that probably is part of it, at least. Okay, I'll show all my dogs. So there he is, not screwing with himself, just sleeping, which is pretty freaking amazing. He's been like that the whole session, our whole live stream. And that one is IZZY, and he usually is able to just chill out though, but he is on medication too for anti-itching because of some kind of food reaction or environmental allergies or whatever. But long story. Okay, you're amazing. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, and if you want to know where I get zinnia seeds and what flower company I like, seed for flower seed, post under the video and I'll post it.